Good morning. Good morning. Well, we are
Good
not looking
morning.
crazy for a reason. We are all dressed up and ready to party today. So apparently this morning, this Queen Esther has to wear glasses.
So does this Queen Esther.
So good morning for those of you who are celebrating Purim. We are excited. We are excited about tomorrow, the Purim conference in South Africa they've let us join them and hang out with them all day tomorrow. So be looking for your emails you'll be getting one from Magnum at iAfrica. Colleen, that's her email address. So if you registered, you'll want to search for that email because she'll give you the information about how to go into Zoom and get your private link to get into that webinar. And then you can also go into your library because you would have gotten access into the Ruta Cafe. I also put that link in there for those of you who registered for that earlier this month or this last week. But it's going to be fun. I encourage you to get dressed up, or if you're watching this later and you're going to just be watching the replays, I really encourage you guys to get dressed up with your girlfriends, have girlfriends over. So
sorry, the rewind.
I know.
Just took us.
You're gonna watch
like
the rewinds.
Most of these younger ladies never had videos, so they didn't have to be kind and rewind.
Be kind and rewind. I know, right? So it's gonna be fun. So good morning. You look beautiful, Brenda.
Thank you,
Esther Brenda.
Thank you, and so do you, and so do you. I appreciate it. I'm having a blast. My heart is so, can I just tell you that I am so filled with joy right now. It's like a download of joy. And I hope that you all, like, if you aren't having it, that you catch it right now, because it's been amazing. Watching what the Holy One's doing, not only in his Torah portion and in the book of Esther, which is like a bonus that we have right now that we're reading, but just what he's doing in the land. He's calling us forth that in the midst of darkness to be the people that have joy. And that is so much what's going on in the Torah portion today, Charlie.
Yes.
That this is the things that are being done, the commandments that are being kept, the activities that are being required, every single one of them is supposed to be done in joy. And I think
Yes.
that's like, just reading it, it doesn't say do it in joy, but but it does if you're reading the scriptures all the way through, reading them through the New Testament. It's talking about doing everything with joy, and that's what's happening. And man, it just caught me off guard. Beautifully.
You know what? That is so good, because we talked about when I mean, I don't know why this is crazy. It reminded me of it, but when we were in Idaho this last summer, and remember I was telling you guys about that swinging crazy bridge, and I had to walk over that. I have had this deathly fear of heights, and not just heights, but then walking through things you can see through the bottoms, like on a pier or something, we could watch the water underneath. Well, here's this swinging little tiny bridge, and I was going to walk across it. And I just thought, I am not going to let fear not let me have this experience. So instead I started saying, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And there's a reason for this. And then what happened was that changed over. And so now, instead of me being full of fear, I was full of like joy and excitement. And so when I was able to go across this bridge, it looked crazy and scary, but I was excited to do it instead. So then you're saying that we're filled with joy.
Yeah.
I was listening to yesterday. There is a reason to this story. I was listening to Dr. Robin yesterday on one of her teachings, and she was talking about affirmations. And a lot of people say, well, I say my daily affirmations. Well, she said, your affirmations, the Father affirms you. You just receive the affirmations. And I'm thinking that he has already affirmed us that we get to walk in joy, that his joy is our strength. And that, here we are celebrating Queen Esther, Hadassah. We're celebrating her. It was, and look up the word joy. I encourage you to look the word up, actually back it up into Hebrew, work it out, because as you probably realize, it does not mean anything that you think. And so you're going to get in there and see, what does joy really look like? How fun, right?
Now you've got me all curious. I'm like,
oh, she's going to do it.
I'm going to
look at her cute
right
chandelier
now.
earrings. I'm like, kind of just wanting those earrings.
These are like, I know, these were for my 35th wedding anniversary. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Beautiful.
it's a whole Hadassah kind of whole thing happening here.
Yeah, I kind of want to just be
I
this
got
all
the
day. I
little,
thought,
I got this. Oh, by the way, uh, a friend of mine sent me these candies, and that's what this is. Kathy was asking me, what's on your table? Looks like race cars. I don't have any idea what they say. Aren't they cute? But they're for the holiday, so I just have them right here. I don't want to eat them because they're just too cute, all wrapped up and
how
cute.
cute. Fun
Yeah,
little
so
race car,
I,
not race car candies.
yeah,
So she's going to look up Joy because she
I'm gonna
needs
look
to
at
do that
Joyce.
right now.
Some kind of, yeah.
But, we start out with Brenda kind of you kind of walked us into this a little bit before we talk about how, getting dressed up, about the pressing of the oil and isn't
So
it
good.
we start this parsha off now. First, we're going into this, and first of all, this is I think the only parsha in in this book that Moses isn't mentioned.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of people go through this and like, okay, I'm going to skip through this really quick because this part is scary. And you know what? I'm just going to be the more we study it, I mean, even me, it's even like was listening to Robin yesterday. It still is a little scary every time. I'm like, what is this? I caught myself going, I don't want to do that. I don't want to learn that. No, I don't want to. My head hurts on that part. But then I realized I probably should back up on the part that my head hurts on. And actually, there's a reason.
Good.
But we start out, the whole thing starts out with, I think it's beautiful. We start out with, I'm having a hard time not looking at you, Brenda, because you look so beautiful. We have a hard, we start out with this beautiful pressing of the oil, this beautiful that it's not just about it's not just about the process of the oil pressing, which, we love the process of that. This is not where there was no sediment. It was pure. It was lovely. But you know what got me on this one is that the priest didn't go harvest the oil. That's not, how did they get the oil? The oil came from the people.
Yeah, they called.
It was
They
the
called for the
common people that brought the oil, and it had to be brought all the time. It was a day. I want you to remember that when we're talking about this menorah that had to be lit all the time, it was not lit. It was kept lit all the time because the people brought the oil. The people brought the oil.
All the children of Israel command them that all the children of Israel that they bring you pure oil of pressed olives for the light to cause the lamp. Oh, let's get into this. To cause the lamp to burn continually.
Yes.
Well, what's
and we're
the
in
lamp?
Exodus 27:20. That's where we're starting.
Yeah.
Yes.
The menorah is the lamp, to cause the lamp to burn continually. And that word continually, or that word burn, means Allah. It means to lift up, to raise up. So let the light be raised up continually. What does that remind you of? Yeshua saying that he is the light of the world, right? And then him saying, oh man, you see it? And then him saying,
I hyperlink. If I be lifted up,
the light of
I
the
will
world.
draw all men.
Hello, that's it. It's the hyperlink. We need to get the blue letters in there.
Yeah, so we could just click on them and it takes us straight to the with that. Maybe someone develop that for us because we don't have time. But someone needs to develop that. Every time we say there's a hyperlink, you need to do a new translation.
Yep,
that
and
online,
stick it in there.
Just click it and it hyperlinks us to all the things that he's talking about. Because don't you see? I mean, what is the beauty of that? Is that the people brought it. I mean, they brought it.
Yes.
And I can imagine them coming in and saying, hi, it's my turn. I'm bringing the oil. Hi. As a process, it was an act of service that the people would bring this. It wasn't just like, oh, I went to the store and bought you some, I went to the oil store and bought the best oil there. But it was a process that they had to like, and I was going to say this, but this morning I was kind of studying this out. I was reading a couple places in one of the very Jewish commentaries that I was reading. They were really, really talking about how the word is kafef. Katha is the root. So it's H3793. If y'all just want to be excited and look it up. Brenda, I'll put it up for you right here. Or can anybody see my notes? There you go.
Kaf, tet, yod, tet. Is that what that says? I'm thinking.
It is.
Okay, I'm gonna.
So it's kaf, That's the original. It's Kaf, Tet, Yod, Tet. And it's translated in some places as pressed. This one says, mine says beaten, the pure olive oil beaten for the light. When I looked it up, the root, it is to beat to pieces. So there. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'm not going to go with a commentary. I'm just going to say this is what that says. So what is, do you feel like attacking that, the cough, the tet, the
Well,
yod, and the tet?
I'm looking right now. I'm trying to find it in the Hebrew, because I wanted to see it in the
Okay.
in the Hebrew. So it's 3793. Is that what you?
3795 is
Oh,
the,
okay.
do you want, and the root is 3807. If you want the root is 3807.
Okay.
Kaf,
I wanted to,
kathath.
yeah, I wanted to see it, what it looks like in the when it's in the scripture, and then when it's, let me find it here.
So,
Okay, got it.
you got it?
Crushed. Okay, got it. Yeah.
So the
Okay.
big thing is that this is a process,
Yeah.
and this is how we just nerd out on some things, and we take you along the
Mm-hmm.
journey, and
Mm-hmm.
you may have to like say, well, we sometimes will have to do U-turn. We're at a cul-de-sac. We have to do U-turn and come out. So this kind of happened to me this morning. I was stuck in here because I was reading. I was like, and all of a sudden I was getting Isaiah 53:5, that he was wounded for our
Oh,
transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and not by his stripes we're healed. Ooh, I wonder if the word he was bruised, Father is, he was bruised for my iniquity. And I thought, I just sat in that. It could be part of my cul-de-sac this morning, but I just sat in that. And if nothing else, it makes you go somewhere that you're grateful for the process, right? You're grateful. And we want to underline all of this as we go into this. The most important thing
yeah.
is, where is your Messiah in this
Yes.
parsha?
Yes.
And I found him in a place today that I've never seen him before.
Tell us about that.
You want me to jump? Am I jumping? I'm
Jump.
jumping. We're going to
Let's
jump.
hear it.
So, yeah, let me go. I have to go through this little, let me go to the, okay, so when we're looking at being dressed, we're going to go through, you're going to see them dressing the priest. And I just will say, and I think, Erica, I think you did I think I saw you write this in our Parsha point over in the cafe, that you had, in your studies this week, that you had learned that they didn't know what a priesthood was. They had never seen a priesthood before. They're from Egypt. They didn't know who that was. They're like, all the priests they saw were Egyptian priests. That's what they saw, magicians and priests, guys with their heads shaved with one like curl coming out, and that's like what they knew. I think that was in our Parsha point when Gail was talking about, we knew ancient Near East. We didn't, that was the stuff that the priests were like that. The other thing that they knew is they knew that there was male and female priests. So, all of us, we joke about being biblical feminists, but this is one of those times when women, there's a reason women were not in the temple. And the reason that it is thought, the reason was because in all the other cultures and all the other temples, it was women were in there as priestesses, because it was the sexual acts were part of their worship.
Right.
So they removed the women, not because we weren't good enough, because women the priests and prophets, two different things.
Totally
but a priest
different.
could sometimes be a prophet. There's a few that are priests were also a prophet. Those can be the same things. But what happened is, when the women weren't there, the men were just working out service, and they were serving the Lord. They weren't serving each other. It removed I think it removes a lot of things, that they weren't working together. It wasn't that we couldn't do it. It was that we did. They were establishing this. What does the priesthood look like? So what do they dress like? Now there was a foundation that they all dressed like, and I'm going to tell you, if you read something like this parsha and you're like, my goodness, there is so many details.
Yeah.
Then you know that this might be one of those things that you pray like, Father, is this my lifelong study? Is this one of those things you need me to study out? Because I feel like this would be one of those studies that, Brenda, like, don't you think like this is one that you'd have like notebooks and notebooks? You
pages
just start
and pages
with
forever. Every little
tunic.
tiny detail, every itsy bitsy detail is so rich and packed and full. Okay, so can I just say, as you go into this, Charlie, I just want to say that what happened to me in the midst of this was that it's like the Torah is a, the samech, the letter samech, it's a circle in Hebrew,
Mhm.
because it's never ending. It's just continuous, continuous. It's like the Moedim. They're just continuous, continuous for all times. Shabbat for all times, for all times. Learning the Torah is the same way. It's for all times. So wherever you
Mhm.
are, you're on the spectrum, okay? If you want me to put it that way,
Yes.
you're on the spectrum, okay? And you're not behind because it's not a point to point done. It is a continual circle. So if you get in there and you get one word, that's why Charlie and I are always saying, get in there, get one word, hear one thing, you're good, because his
Yes.
life will speak to you in that. And you're right there. Now, next year or next week or tomorrow, you might get a little bit more. Great, but it's not ending. The most brilliant minds that study Torah are beginners in the sense of it's the beginning. Yes, they have foundations. Yes, they're teachers. Hallelujah that they've gone before us, right? But they're not completed. It's not done with them. It's continual. It's always, never feel behind. Never
No, and you
feel
have
like,
something to give. Never
no,
think you can't add to and
no.
say, "Oh, you know what? I mean, I
Yes,
learned something today that I thought, you know what? I no longer will feel inadequate that I would share this
never.
with maybe someone who I think is a great teacher. I have
Hmm.
women in my lives that are and men that are amazing
Hmm.
teachers, but
Yes.
I no longer feel like I might be the little toe in this body. I'm going to share, hey, guess what?
Yeah.
I found a cute little rock we need to avoid next time. So let's keep the body away from there. I felt it
Yeah.
with my little toe. Or could, some little revelation I got that's huge.
Mhm.
But I'm loving, I mean, looking for Messiah and you find him each year.
Everywhere.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And
Yeah.
one of the things he showed me is that circle, Brenda, was like
Mhm.
cochlear.
Yeah.
So it was like this. So it wasn't, any way you look at the circle. So no matter where you are, one spot isn't higher or better than the
Not at
other.
all. Not at
So
all.
someone could have got a
Yes.
revelation and I think,
Yes.
oh, they're just starting out. So let me help this child because and this happened, this may or may not have happened in my marriage. That I thought that, oh, well, he doesn't know that. So I'm going to shed some light. And God was like, let me tell you, sister, you think you're up here and he's down here in like, because you've been doing this longer. But here's the thing, I was teaching him all those things all along that you still need to learn. And all he needs to learn is one more piece and he's done. But you got to learn all the stuff I've been teaching him all these years using other stuff. And I was like, oh, I'll just be over here. Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. So I want you to look at the word as a child. I want you to go into it because
Yes.
I feel like that's where we are, right? I felt like that today.
And delight in it and just enjoy
Delight
it.
in
And
it,
even if
joy.
it's just one letter, if you go, I know that letter is an olive, woohoo, he'll speak to you in that too.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but even if you've been studying for 40 years and you are filled with knowledge, if you have truly been studying for 40 years and you're filled with knowledge, you know exactly what I'm talking about, in that even every crumb, every morsel is so delightful. And we're not comparing one another. That's what this Torah is telling us. We're to be
Yeah.
woven together, each one bringing the best that they have. It's going to look different, but each one of us fitting together and working together as the community to bring forth the light of Messiah to the world.
Yes. Yes. So good. Yeah,
Okay, so tell
secrets.
us. So
So
you were
excited. And we forgot to share that the whole the Gethsemane, when Yeshua is in the Garden of Gethsemane praying or whatever, that is actually transliterated as the olive press. So for those of you who don't have that in your notes somewhere, that's a side little
mm,
bar. That the Garden of Gethsemane is transliterated as the olive press. So it would be the place that he would have been pressed unto the blood, right? And then so that he
right.
could continue to be the light of the world. It's
Wow.
there's things if you just stop there, you'd be like, well, can't even get to chapter 28 yet. And then
Right.
we go into the garments, we're talking about God is setting up, saying, this is what it looks like. And who doesn't love a man in uniform, right? So like they're going to get some attention. You see, we see these men are all set up in their uniforms. We know their ranks because it's important to know like who's going where and doing what. We have Aaron is set up as the high priest. He's set up he started up, and being a high priest or in being in the as a priest is wasn't something that you learn to do. So being a rabbi and being a priest is not the same thing. So I'm sorry if this, I'm just going to do little basics real quick. It's not the same thing. You you can study to be a rabbi and then go through, go through school, become a rabbi, female, male, whatever, you become a rabbi and you're a teacher. That's what you're learning to be a teacher. But a priest, you have to be born into it. So that's why the priests in our culture, in this tabernacle, they are married. They are not celibate. The priesthood is marries because they are to proliferate more priests, because they are to be fruitful and multiply. So there's more priests. I will tell you, there are priests now on the planet. I read that if your last name and you're Jewish is Cohen or Cohen, that you are in that lineage, that's how they will use that as a determination, like because of your last name is Cohen, because of the Kohanim, you were a priest. So that's where that
Wow.
comes from.
Very
There
cool.
are priests that are studying now. They're putting the garments together, learning how to put them on, learning how to do those things now, so that when the tabernacle is rebuilt, that's actually happening in Israel. So there are priests on this planet at this time. So this is a thing, girls. So this is happening. So I'm going to just, I learned something really cool, but I don't know if I can jump that fast to it. So just let's talk about just really quickly over these clothes. There is a lot happening with these clothes. There's a lot of stones, a lot of jewelry. There's a lot of plates and cloths and braiding and clasps. And I love that the stones are on the shoulders. We have a stone on each shoulder that's put on these priests. 12 tribes on, I mean, 6 tribes on this shoulder, 6 tribes on this shoulder. Fun fact, Brenda, for you, nerd it. 25 letters on each shoulder.
Wow.
So if you break down I have to, for all of you Hebrew nerdies, if you take the names of the tribes that are written out, the 6 that are written here and the 6 that are written here, it's 25 letters it's an equal balance. And I was interesting thinking about the equal yoke. Of course, I went there. What's on your shoulder? What's yoked? That he carries us on his shoulder. It's not heavy for him. It's
Wow.
just, I mean, there's so many places you could go with these places, but
And that it's over, and that the tribes are they're filling up the gold reservoirs. The jewels fill up those gold reservoirs, and they're over the heart.
Yeah.
They're over the heart of the priest, which
Yeah.
we always look, whenever we're looking at a priest here in the Torah, when we're looking at that, when we're looking at Aaron, or when we're looking at the priest, remember that we want to use our vision to look into Messiah, to see where is Messiah in this? How are they behaving like Messiah? Well, Messiah has us on his heart. He's carrying us. He has wrapped us around him.
Yes.
I mean,
And that's it was because he's our high priest, right? And he's saying, they put
yes.
the names on the shoulders. It was supposed to be so
Hmm.
the shoulders were so that they were constantly before his presence, so the Holy One would bring us back. Not that he forgot them. Remember the word remember. You guys go back and redo that lesson, but it's
Right.
because it would bring it back to the forefront of what, he's
For a
I don't know,
intention, for a purposeful intention to accomplish something.
to
Whenever it's
accomplish something.
remember, it is that it's bringing it to the forefront in order to accomplish something of
Yes.
of importance. So
Yes.
that's
So
what he's
that's up.
doing.
So they're here. So when he goes in, it's
Yeah.
to say, it's so that he would see them here. And then the ones that were on the breastplate and over Aaron's heart was so that they would be before Aaron's heart. He would remember who he's serving.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the 12, you have 6 and 6, you have the 12 names here, and then you have the tribes that are across his. So you have the Shohan stones, one on each shoulder. Okay. So many connections mentioned here, Brenda, like
Mm-hmm.
connected to connected to connected. There is 6 strands, one gold little thread that goes through these each one of the strands then had a piece of gold that was beaten down, and then gold was wrapped into those strands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all put together. So it was 28 strands that would make these things, and they were woven together. It was beautiful. It wasn't like embroidery. It was like 2 different things. So you know how when you look on one side, it's like one way when something's woven. So it would have been so beautiful. beautiful, passing the family. Okay, and then you had these stones on their on their breastplate. You had the stones. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, right? The first row, you have the Odem, the Pitta, I'm going to say them all wrong, so I'm going to say it phonetically, so hopefully you can write them down or look them up. Barekes, Barekes, that's the stones. So starting with that first row with Odem, you can start with the tribe of Reuben. And then the Pitdah, Pitdah, would be Shimon. You could start there and you can go across, and that's how they were. The next second level, we have Nofetch, the Sapphire, Yahalom, the third, Lashem, Shevo, and Aklamah, and the fourth, Tarshish, Shohan, and Yashish. And I can write those somewhere for y'all, but you have 4 rows and then they go across. So you have Reuben and you go the tribes. So the very last tribe would be Yashish, and that would be the last one, right? And then holding this breastplate, I'm going somewhere, holding this breastplate, it was so important to keep the breastplate. Probably the reason women weren't in there is because for this purpose right here, the breastplate had to stay so close to their body so that it wouldn't be moving and jiggling all around. Now for me, that would be a problem, but we need a lot of ropes. So you have men, they're, flatter, you know what I'm saying? And they would rope it. So you're going to see all the different ways they rope this. And there's a reason, is because, so it's not jiggling all over the place. It's very important that it's sturdy, it stays in place. And so there's these braids, and you'll read in here about these braids that they braid a cord, the braided cord that's used. Okay, I'm gonna start crying now. There's a braided cord that's used to hold all the pieces together so nothing fell apart. So this really special braided cord is made to hold it in place. And the word that is used is to hold this breastplate, these braided cords. I want to talk to that for a minute, you guys. This braided little cord, every time you see braided, I just really want you to see the picture of these braids. This braided cord is made out of, it's the same, when it's talking about it, it's the same verbiage that they use to talk about the roots of a tree, holding the tree in place so that the tree can't be uprooted, so that the tree can't go this way, and that whole, a firm foundation to keep it solid. So these braids are holding this in place. And the word is, the original word is Strong's H8331. So those that want to look it up. But the root of it is H8327, which is a shin, a resh, and a shin. Do you want to tell us what that word, just tell us the word picture of the root of these braids, what they are?
Well, that would be the presence of the Almighty, the fire, the purification, the strength, the presence of the Almighty. And sandwiching in between that is Resh, which is man, which is the head of man. So it's the head of the person is being sandwiched between the presence of God, covering, surrounding from both sides. That is a beautiful picture. Yeah.
And it's holding him there, not by might or by power, but by his spirit. It's holding him. It's holding him in his presence. It's holding
manifest
him to
presence
his heart.
Of the Holy One. Yes.
It's holding him from getting shaken. He's like a tree planted by water whose roots are firm.
He's not going anywhere.
He's surrounding you. And this is this picture of this cord that's holding everything together. Right? You're also seeing in this cord, and if I remember correctly, someone has to fix me if it's not true. Is this cord, I know a lot of the cords, I went through the strands, are made, we know they're made of the blue, the purple, and the red, and then it has a gold going through it. Okay, is what and I think these ones might be solid gold. So someone check my facts. If they're not solid gold and they're that thing, then we even know how much cooler is that, because we talked about that purple, how the purple, we see the blue and the red and then the purple in the middle. We see that. How beautiful is that with the gold running through that? We already know what beautiful picture of Messiah that is from last week. Okay, so I want you to think about, so we have this glory, the fire of God, picture of the man, the resh, the bowed man who's, and then we have the glory. So he's held together with this. That's that picture.
And it is pure
so
gold. Well, it says pure
it's
gold
pure.
in verse 22. It says
Oh,
that
perfect.
they're
Okay, so
made
those
with
are the
pure
pure
gold.
gold ones. Those are the pure gold ones, because the other thread that's used is all the intertwining of the 6 threads I talked about before. Those were all the other strands, and then the one strand of gold went through it. But the gold is just, this braid is just gold. It's pounded out gold, and then they would make little slivers, and then they would weave the slivers together, spin it, to make the yarn, and then they would make the threads to make this braided gold, because it would be so strong it wouldn't break. It wouldn't just be anything. It would be so tightly bound that it wouldn't break. And then we have the bells. There's 2 different theories of what those are for. A lot of people feel like the bells on the bottom of the high priest was to announce him coming and going, because when you're entering a king's presence, you would have to be announced, and that would be like a symbolism of being announced into his presence. And of course, the other is if you went in with a bad heart, or you went in for the wrong reasons, you stopped jangling, they would have to pull you out because you died. They would know. So you have head coverings. There's a lot of things in here, ladies. You could just pick a piece, dive into it, have fun, share with all of us. But I want to jump to just tie those braids with something that I've never seen before. And it might be just my little secret thing, but I'm going to share with you, and I hope it blesses you. But we jump to the building of the altar out front. And remember the picture of this altar. It's right in front of the door, the dalet. It's in front of, they call it the door, the entrance into the tent. Before you get into the tabernacle, it's the outer court. You come in through the dalet, the door, the way. You come through there, and then right in front of that, there's this altar, this brazen altar that you come into. And what would happen every morning, I'm like, can anyone smell the barbecue? What would happen every single morning? You have a priest who would there was 2 pure male lambs. You'd have the first one would be put on the altar in the morning, and it would burn all day long. And then the second one we'd put on the altar at night, and it would burn all night long. So I was thinking, because for those of you know, my husband and I used to own a barbecue restaurant. So I'm thinking, not only did they smell like, barbecue, but though it was constantly throughout, he was with you're saying the aroma is pleasing to him. Can you imagine the aroma was constantly reminding them? Who doesn't smell barbecue and you're like, ooh, that makes you long for something? I'm thinking that was becoming a familiar to them, that he was getting them trained to long for him, to want to come into his presence. But that was not my thing. So they put this lamb on, male lamb, spotless, on the altar. He goes in, and he's all the rest of the corbanots, the rest of the day, get put on top of, as that's burning, they're all being put on top of it. It's not like it wasn't shoved to the side. All the other offerings throughout the day, whether it was fellowship offerings or sin offerings or guilt offerings, or they were all peace offerings, they were all put on top of this and burnt. It was the first sacrifice of the day, the first korbanot of the day. I'm going to use this word, and we're going to break it down. The first approach of the day started with this male spotless lamb, maybe a hyperlink to slain before the foundations of the earth. And then all of the other sacrifices go on top of it. And then at the end of the day, another lamb is put on top of that. So it's like lamb sandwich. Another lamb is brought on top of it to burn the night. So it's covering it from the bottom and the top. This sacrifice, this lamb is covering that, all of the things. Is that cool to anybody else? That was cool to me.
And that,
I think that just got put in there for me.
And that, so there's your word picture is beautiful with that.
So what is that word picture, Brenda?
Well, I'm just
a sheen, a resh, and a sheen. The same picture as that braid.
Right.
It was the same picture of the braid
being offered before the Holy One. It's like, why do we even care about sacrifices being offered to the Holy One? He is asking us to bring things that represent us. The resh is the representation of a man, of a person, humankind. Okay, not gender, human, man. It is the intellect. It is the it's the intentions, it's the going forth, it's the direction, it's how that person is using their brain and intellect to move forward. And it's being covered on both sides, on both, by the presence of God. What a beautiful picture of how he wraps himself around us. Just like with the breastplate, all of the judgment, it's the breastplate of judgment. Everything that's being judged is being judged from the heart. Where's the heart? The heart of Messiah is in the center of all of this. His heart is in the very center of all of this, pouring forth, coming through the mercy seat, coming through. The judgment never comes without the love, the heart, the heartbeat of God with his mercy, always. So whenever we're looking at this, it's really easy to get distracted and say, animal sacrifices, and what does that mean? And how does that relate? And how do I,
That's barbaric.
yeah. And it's like,
Confusing.
you're looking at all that. You understand that you one of the things we got to get a grasp on here, and I love that we have so many of you that are studying the ancient Near East so that you can understand why that's important. But we understand that we all have a purpose. And when the Holy One created animals, and especially these animals, they have a purpose. And their purpose is to be a pleasing, beautiful aroma that reminds everyone that smells it that there is an approach and an ability to approach the King of the universe. They weren't being slaughtered in a cruel, horrible, dictator, murderous way. They were being brought to the completion of their design and function that they were born for. And the smell that was coming up was the pleasing aroma saying, this is unto you, Holy One, our purpose, our function, what we were created to be. That is all being laid upon the altar, and now it's a beautiful aroma to you. It's a glory, it's a thankfulness, it's an approach to you. Here we are. And he takes what we have and he exchanges it for what he has. The lamb that was pure and perfect, the Lamb of God who takes away all of our lawlessness. He took all of that upon himself. That's what this is representing. It's like a beautiful imagery. That's what I want you. That's what I'm asking the Holy One to speak life to each and every one of us, so that when we see these, because it's going to get more intense as we get into Leviticus. When we see these, we see them as these beautiful opportunities to see the plan and purpose of God coming to completion in areas like that. I guess, am I making sense? That animal's purpose was completed in the moment of his death and his blood being spilled.
Yes.
And it was not an evil, mean thing. His time was completed, and that was it. And what he was representing and how he was standing in the gap. That was beautiful. It was precious, and the aroma was pleasing.
Yes.
I hope that I explained that, and somebody else jump on here and explain it better.
I know it's beautiful. I want to just say right now, Father, we thank you.
Thank you
for giving us the details, that you love us so much, that you gave us the details here, that you love us so much that you didn't just say, oh yeah, and then we built the thing. You actually love us, that you gave us the details so that as we wanted deep calls to deep, as we want, you gave us secret things to find out who you are and delight in you, that we delight in this, Father. And more importantly, Father, that it brings us back to our first love.
Yeah.
not
Yes.
mine, not the things we're learning in the word, not, oh, I learned all how to conjugate a Hebrew verb. Is that even
No.
a thing? But that instead, we, our hearts are turned to you, and that
Yes.
we
Thank you,
know who
Father.
our Messiah is, and we
Yes.
know who our first love is, Father.
Hmm.
So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah,
Amber
we
wrote,
don't,
and it's
this
in front of
isn't,
me.
go
This is
ahead.
Amber wrote, oh, the aroma of Messiah. It's like, yes. And when I said that, some people are like, wait, I don't get your connection. I don't get where you're connecting the shin, the resh, and the shin. Well, the connection was when I was seeing this lamb, and I was seeing it going first, and then I was seeing all of man stuff going onto the altar. Then I was seeing another lamb going. I was seeing the sheen, the resh, and the sheen. And I don't see in Hebrew, y'all know that's Brenda's thing. But what happened was that word popped up, and I saw the hyperlink back to that braid. Do I know all these
Yes.
connections? I have no clue, but all I know is at like 3 o'clock this morning, I was like, okay, I have to get deeper into this. There's a connection here. And all of a sudden I was like broken, and I saw my savior.
Thank you, Father.
I saw him. I saw him going before me and coming behind me. I saw him bearing all of my burdens. I saw him
Yeah.
taking everything. And as we go into this, it doesn't have to scare you going into these things. So
No.
I want you, every time you see the word sacrifice,
Hmm.
we're going to pound it in your head
Mm.
to hear the word approach.
Approach. It's our way of coming into the presence of the Almighty. He's saying, I want you clothed in righteousness, right? Well, how does that happen? Let me show you. How about this?
Let
Let
me
me
show
show
you.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Yeah.
taking us through step by step by step. And this is how I'm going to wind it around, and I'm going to wind you together. I'm going to weave you together because you're not in this alone. Now, let me show you what we get to do. This is the guy that's going to cover this up, and he's not going to let anybody know what's been happening with you. He's going to cover that all. He's going to take away those ashes and dispose of them. Nobody's going to see what's going on. You're covered. Yeah. Let me show you this. Go out there and get some oils. Do it as a community. Go out there and get the olives, I mean, and do it as a community and bring it forth because you are valuable and your contribution is valuable. You're bringing oil, you're bringing olives. Might seem like I'm only bringing olives. You're bringing olives. You're bringing olives to glorify the light of the world, Messiah
Or may
Yeshua.
or maybe you work to pay for to give the money to the
Maybe
kid who ran to go get the olives. Maybe
exactly
you're like, well, all I do is work all day. But
right,
with your contribution, you might be not be the person on the radio
right.
spreading the gospel, but you're the person who's working to make the money to help pay for the person who needs to pay for their radio time so they could be on the gospel. I mean,
No, really. No,
no, really.
everything that you have, everything that's been given to you is a that you can turn around. It's a contribution. Everything, everything about you. That's what this Torah portion is really about. It's like he's showing us how immensely
Mm.
important each and every person is. It's talking about the priest, but it's also you realize that they can't do what they do if everybody else is not doing what they do. Everybody needs to contribute. And last Torah
Right.
portion, it started off that way with bringing contributions. Well, of course it did, because nobody can do this alone.
Right. Right.
So, and
Right.
can I just say, like with the light, like I know that those of you who are in Dr. Allwine's class, you all know so much more than me about the menorah and about the lights and all of that. But the whole thing about the whole community gathering the olives for the press for the oil, it means that everybody is vested. Everybody's got skin in the game, guys. We all have skin in the game, all of us. If we're at home homeschooling our kids, we may not be traveling and teaching, traveling, or whatever, but wherever we are, whatever we're doing, it's our contribution. It's of equal value. It's part of everything that's happening to put everything together. It's not minimal. And I just think it's really important. And with the light of the world, the priest going in and and trimming the wicks and making sure that the light was shining the way that it needed to be shining, to expose the glory and the majesty and the corners and everything that was being exposed by the light. All of that was so valuable. And when they did it, when they walked in, and I'm jumping ahead here, they had the pomegranates, which represent the commandments. And then they had the bells, and those bells were tinkling, so that when the high priest approached inside, when he was approaching, the sound was tinkling, and it was like saying, I'm here, I'm here. And the Holy One's like, yeah, you're here. You're here. I hear you. It's valuable. It's like, it's an awakening. We get to look and see what's happening inside the temple. It's an awakening. If that makes sense. I'm sorry.
No, it's beautiful. No, it's beautiful. And y'all, we love you that you hang out with us, because we're gonna jump. Go back to, we are gonna jump. Jump in. But it's just so important, because it is all connected. It's kind of like when Yeshua gives us the parables. He'll say it one way, and then he'll say it another way. And he'll say another way. Like, oh, if you didn't get it this way, let me give you this parable. Okay, that you didn't get that. So it's kind of like he's saying, well, let me talk about the priest garments.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to talk about how you're going to build this
Right.
this tent, and then I'm going to talk about, but it all is the same thing, and it's all the things, but it's the same thing. So you'll get it one way. It's the difference, but all the same. It's all, each piece can be part of the piece. So like the braids could actually mean it's the same kind of word picture as these lambs on this, right? It could all be the thing. And we see, I love when they're processing these, it isn't just a murderous thing. I mean, you see the process when the priests are going in, they're saying they take the blood and they're putting it on their right earlobe, their right thumb, their right toe. Right. And you read that and you're like,
it's representative of Messiah.
Is this like a Criminal Minds episode? Like someone's walking around with blood all over them? No. This is when you stop and you go, I probably should figure what this out. And we are so blessed. We have Google. I mean, there's ways you can look some things up. I don't know you trust it all, but there are ways to look things up. We want to bring you to your first love and not just be all about, because there's lots of great teachers who can teach you all the things. What about, do you have anything to say on the blood?
It's like the thumb. That's, your work, your strength, your power, your thumb, right? And your ear, what you hear, what you receive, what you allow to fill your mind and your heart and your thoughts and your thinking, which become actions, right? So where's the,
and they do this right at the door. Remember the servant, the teaching about the servant, when the servant is put on the ear, and this is a covenant that's happening.
Yeah, that blood is on that door from the ear. Yeah.
Look at the Shema. I mean, if you look at the Shema, seriously. I'm gonna hear O Israel, blood on my ear. Shema, O Israel. And let's just go through that. Where am I going to put my feet? Where am I going to go?
The big toe, right? It's like, where are you walking? Where are you going? Where are your thoughts and your actions?
Where's your balance? Where's your balance?
Right.
You can take it down and be it wherever you want in this. We just want, hopefully that ignites something in you to go, oh, okay. Well, it doesn't have to be super deep. These sacrifices, so we're going to say approaches from now on, right? These approaches, we're going to learn in Leviticus. It is going to, for those of you the first time around, I promise you it'll blow your mind. It blows my mind my 20th time around. Blows my mind. These approaches that I thought only the high priest, somewhere I had told, maybe it was a felt storyboard that I saw in kindergarten, that I thought only the high priest was in the presence of God. Only the high priest met with the Father. He's the only one. But we read here, I'm going to even read it. In 29, starting in 38, he says, now this is what you're to offer upon the altar. 2 one-year-old lambs each day continually. You're to offer the one lamb in the morning and the other lamb at dusk. Offer along with the first lamb 1/10 of a ephah of fine flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil and 1/4 of a hin of wine, and a drink offering, which we'll talk about more of that kind of stuff as we go on. The other lamb you're to offer at dusk, like the grain offering and a drink offering in the morning, as a sweet aroma and an offering made by fire to Adonai. It is to be continual. burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance. And when I saw that it is continual, that's when I hit me. He was slain before the foundations of the earth. He is my redeemer. He is the lamb that was continually before the throne. He's continually making intercession. And then I kept going, burnt
Right.
offerings throughout your generations. Here we go. At the entrance, at the dalet, at the door of the tent of the meeting before Adonai. So how do you get to the Father? Only through him, the dalet, the door. That's how you
Right.
get into the Father. So this was a
Exactly.
representation. They had to go through the door to get in there to be in the presence of the Father. And I didn't know. I always thought it was just the priest, but it says there I will meet with you. And he's not just talking to the priests, he's talking to the people. There I will meet with you to speak with you there. I will meet with B'nai Israel there. I will meet there. So it will be sanctified by my glory. So I will sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar, and I will also sanctify Aaron and his sons. So it was at the door. We should see all the hyperlinks to that I just said to you about him. He's the door. So what he's saying is what's happening here is important, and it's a way to show you this isn't about, I don't need your sacrifices.
Yeah.
If I want to barbecue a lamb, I'll just barbecue one. I mean, I just don't need you to do this. That's when we hear the verses that he doesn't need your sacrifices. What he was saying is that he doesn't need the animal sacrifices. He wants your approach. He
Yeah.
wants your heart. He wants it when you come in, is what we're going to learn with each one of these approaches. They meant something. Bill Bullock does an amazing teaching on the holes in your soul, that you
Yeah.
have these 5 holes in your soul, and that each one of these approaches fills this hole in your soul so
Right.
that you can come into his presence. Because what happens is, what is hindering me from his presence? He's saying, sister, I've got an answer for that. Like Brenda was saying, I am the door. You can come through me, and I'm going to show you how to walk this out, how to lift up. They needed to be shown through actually the killing of an animal. We get to do it now because we know the lamb was already slain. Now we get to do it as a process that through this, we're learning this process of approaching
Mhm.
the throne room, approaching our king, being in his
Yeah.
presence, so that if you have an issue with somebody, we're going to take care of it, because that's going to keep me from his presence. If I have an issue with someone, if I have guilt or shame, then that's going to keep me. Who knows how many of you you could just get down and pray when you have some issue happening? No, there needs to be a process to get through that, so then that way you can come into his presence with thanksgiving. You can come into his presence with praise,
Mhm.
because he's given you a way to approach him and leave all that stuff at the door, at the altar, and that it can be set on top of the lamb,
Yeah.
and it can be
Surrounded and
burned up
covered. Yeah.
and covered,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you can now boldly go before the throne. And
Yeah.
you don't need bells. You can just boldly go in and go
Yeah.
before the throne,
Yeah.
because he's giving you approach protocols
Yep.
of how to get in there.
He says, and you continued on, I will dwell among the children of Israel and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord their God who brought them up out of the land of Egypt. Why? That I may dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. That's the whole purpose to the building of the tabernacle, is so that he dwells with us, not in the tabernacle, he dwells with us. So this whole process of learning how to build the tabernacle, all of this is all our process of learning how to be B'nai Israel, learning how to be the body of believers, learning how to be the ones who are taking the light into the world. We have
Yes.
to learn how to be that. We're coming out of not knowing, and we are coming into, let me instruct you. And that's
Yeah.
what this is all about. And it's still going on now, and it's still relevant today. Every piece of this is still relevant today. That's what I love about the word. It's multi-layered. We can just read it for what it says, and just regular, like, just read it literally. You can read it for what it says, but then it's a layer upon a layer upon a layer. And that's why I love how Charlie said that it's a circle, and I'm seeing the circle too, but she's tipping that circle over, and it's like this, so nobody's ahead and nobody's behind. No, there's no beginning. So nobody's behind, nobody's ahead. Everybody's right where you need to be. So just grab hold of whatever he's going to speak to you in this Torah portion, in every Torah portion. What is he going to speak to you? How is he drawing you closer to Messiah? How does this make sense? We do not have to understand with our intellect every single thing. We won't be able to. It's not possible. We'll grasp some things, and some things we'll ponder. Some things we won't understand. Some things will be confusing. That's okay. That's okay. Grasp what you can, sit in what you can, ask the Spirit of the living God, the breath of the living Ruach HaKodesh, to breathe on you and speak life to you with what is for you. What is your portion of bread today? What is your portion today? You don't need bread for tomorrow. You need the portion for today. What is life to you today? That's what we want you to glean from all of this.
Yes.
We say a lot of things.
Yes.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of different things. Not everybody's going to grab the same stuff. It's okay.
Well, that's again back why Yeshua did all the different parables, because one person would relate to the fisherman, another would relate to a farmer, another one's going to relate to the carpenter building a house. He's going to hit each person where they're at, and you might get a little bit about the fisherman, but you don't get it like a fisherman would get it, right? And you don't get, so it's okay that we're at those spots. And we know that he's going through all these sections here because he says, what are you? A tabernacle.
Yes.
Didn't you know that your body, you are a tabernacle of the Holy Spirit? Didn't you know? So if I'm a tabernacle, I better understand, what is this tabernacle thing about? I mean, not here, but here. Like, I need to know in my spirit, in my heart, what is it that I need to know about being a tabernacle? Not that I have to make sure that, I have to understand dive into every little thing, but there's something in here that there's little clues about. It is a owner's manual for this person, for my babies, my children, my friends. This is an owner's manual that says this is how you do it. Oh, wait, what else did you say? You're a royal priesthood. You have a high priest, so you don't have to worry about carrying the weight of the tribes on your shoulder. He says that he has us written on his heart. All those things. We don't have to worry about those things, right? What we have to worry about, what we have to think about, not even worry, is just, what is the priesthood doing? And that's what we're going to start learning. We're thinking, well, this is silly. Well, it isn't silly, because we're going to see how they carried the burdens of the people, how they served each other, how they acted in community, how the people brought the things. But now we'll start talking about those approaches, and how Brenda has to come because she's dealing with shame, and she doesn't want that to keep him from his presence as she walks out and goes into the laver, or she goes over to the other areas in the courtyard so she can spend time with the Holy One and be in there. So before she can go into another section so that she can spend time with him, she's going to have to process this, guilt she has for something. So to process this, I am going to help her, and I'm going to stand with her, and I'm going to help her get bloody and gutty and yucky, and we're going to put the stuff on the altar together. I'm going to process it so she can then move on, and then I'm going to quietly take it out and bury it outside and not bring shame to her or awareness to her. I'm going to partner with her in her process. I'm going to partner with her in how she does it. That's why we're a holy priesthood, because we get to do that with each other now, and we'll go each time deeper and deeper into that, especially as we hit in Leviticus, then processing these approaches, and how you get to show up for one another to process each other's guilt, shame.
Yes, exactly. And, can I just say, let me just throw this in there for you too. And Amanda, yes, priestly duties. We have a physical picture of what's being done, but it's also spiritually speaking to us as priests. Yes. Okay. So how do we become a menorah to the world? I'm going to throw something out to you. A lot of you will go, of course. And a lot of you will go, what? We become by walking in his ways. We embrace what his words are, and what he says is what he's thinking. What does the Holy One say? How is he thinking? What is he saying is the right pattern for our lives? And when we embrace those, it doesn't mean that we have to do them perfectly. That's Yeshua's got us. He's got us. He's holding us together. He's going, just walk this way. Just walk this way. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, you'll do better next time. It's all good. Let's go. Let's keep going. Our feet are on the path. That's what we need to have. Our feet are on the path. But actually embracing, and that is where our minds begin being renewed, that we begin seeing the words of God, the words that are coming out of his mouth, the words that he's saying, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. When we begin embracing those and not being afraid of them because we don't understand them, it's okay to not understand them. It really is okay. He didn't say, I want you to ponder these and write a dissertation on them and get back to me. He didn't. He said, go get the oil. Okay, go get the lamb. Make sure it's spotless. Okay, bring it. Go get the firewood. He's telling us step by step by step. We don't have to understand everything, but sometimes we think we do. Like we think that we need to understand everything before we move forward. That's unregenerated mind. That's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We're trying to do it from here. And he's saying, I want you to bring this to approach me. It's a change of the way that we perceive his word, in the sense that we're looking at it going, okay, I don't get it, but I know that your word is alive and living and it's true, and it's the words from your mouth. So I'm going to love them. I'm going to love your words, and I'm going to walk in them even if I don't get it. And this is not religion that is earning you a way to heaven. What we're talking about is embracing the heart of God and saying, teach me how to walk in your ways, which is what Yeshua did. He came to earth to show us how to walk in his ways. But our minds, we get so confused in our minds, and we think we need to understand everything before we embrace it, before we love it. That's why David says in the word, I love your Torah. I love your word. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I love your word. It is my delight all the day. He was a regular guy. He made mistakes. He wasn't perfect. But what he did do and what made him different was that he embraced and began loving that word of God. And that set him apart. And that's what we're after right now. So let's be set apart, guys. It doesn't mean that we're doing everything perfectly. It means that we are saying, Father, show me by your spirit, show me my peace today. What is my bread today that I need to have? What is the understanding today that I need to have? Not the whole world understanding. What do I need to know today? How do I approach you today? How do I love my neighbor today? Bite-sized pieces, right?
And it might be,
We're not earning our way to heaven
Father,
for sure.
I'm looking,
Can't do it. It's
I'm
not
looking in the
possible.
mirror, Father, and
Yeah.
I'm looking in this mirror, Father, and the way that I serve you today might be how I dress. Am I looking
Yeah.
like a priest to the nations? Am
Yeah.
I too revealing? Am I not a good representation? Am I dressing modestly? And I'm not talking religiously that, as we're all being
No.
cute and covering everything up I don't mean that that's the case, but can you stand before a mirror? Because I've seen seasons in my life, I could tell when my heart was uh, trying a different path or was a little rebellious. You could always tell in what I was wearing. Things got tighter, got lower, got sexier, got, maybe it was just my shirt said something or whatever that maybe people wouldn't ask me who Yeshua was because they saw that. I mean, it's no condemnation. We've all been on those journeys, but maybe it's as simple as we're talking about how do you get dressed every day. These people got specific on how are you dressing every day.
Yeah.
You are a holy priesthood. If we're different and we're walking out there and we're different, can people tell? Or do you just look like everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they saying, wow, she's not like everyone else? And this is a really great teaching for your teenagers, is that the precious things are hidden. Precious things are covered up. And the more common, we're going to hear common, because it's not that it's holy and we look, kadosh means set apart. set apart for the glory, set apart for the glory and the work of the Holy One, right? Set apart to magnify and glorify Him. Or the other word means common. Is it common? Just a
Mm-hmm.
common thing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you common? So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's a really great way to think of teaching your teenagers or your young girls. Get them sooner, because I mean, I've heard even my granddaughters. I don't know where, they haven't heard them in a long time, but for a little while, I think that they were sneaking in some music videos or something from their babysitter, and she was saying, "Ooh, I look sexy," and I was like, "Oh no, no, you're 4. Let's talk about this." No, so we don't want to be common, and that's,
Right.
you don't want to be like everyone else. That's common. You want to be unique. You want to be precious, and you dig for precious treasures. You dig to uncover things, and you want women, young ladies, young ladies out there that are watching us or listening to us that aren't married, and you're seeking for a spouse. Let him dig for you. You are a treasure. Let him hunt for you and find you. Don't expose it all and be common, that you get to be set apart, because then you are treasured throughout the rest of your life, because you set yourself up as a treasure.
Mm, that's good. Sis, we are like,
Done.
we're it's 12:15. We didn't get very far today. Sorry.
Misty, did you unmute yourself on purpose? Unmute yourself again if there was something that you wanted to share in that. Otherwise, we'll head out to the after party. We'll scan through. There were so many
Oh my
great
gosh,
things in here. Like,
so
I love it.
much.
You had shared Amanda's. I'm scrolling quickly about oh gosh, it's so good. All these comments that
Yeah,
are on here
so
on, oh
such
my
good
gosh,
such
loving.
good comments. Love
Esther,
you.
AKA Kathy Merrick, says love covers a multitude of sins. That is,
Yes, it
see,
does.
hyperlink.
Hyperlink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carol says she's completely in tears. Love it.
Oh,
Pounded gold, pounded olives,
yeah. It's so beautiful.
wrapping around the resh. Good job. Oh,
Yeah.
love it.
Yep.
You think it's silly. Oh, she's driving. Silly when you think that, or you think it's silly, like looking at little word pictures. But I mean, as I'm little by little learning Hebrew letters, now
Mhm.
I'm excited when I see, like, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, I know what that letter is, and I see
Isn't
the
that
picture
so
of that
cool?
letter. And even if I only know like 3 really well, like I know
Mhm.
those 3, so then it makes me want to know what the one in the middle is. So that's when I saw the 2 shins, like a sheen. I'm like, I know what a sheen is. So what's that middle one? And I had to go look again, like, what's that? Oh, it's a resh. And then I kind of remember because of the head bowing. So I
Yeah.
think it's a resh. So I better go double check. And I went and, don't tell Brenda, but I Googled, and then I got a picture up, and then I saw the
Okay.
R, saw the resh, and then I, oh, that looks like that. So that must be a resh. And so then that's how I knew what it was. And then I was
So
like, oh,
good.
I remember, it's the man with his head bowed and in servanthood. And of course it is. Of course that what it is, because in the act of servanthood of these priests that are giving their lives, they're surrounded by the glory and the spirit of the Lord. And there's the man in the middle, and they're surrounded by the tent. They're surrounded by
Yeah.
the community. They're surrounded by the fire of his presence, inside and out, an altar inside and out. I mean, we could just keep going deeper and deeper. And it was all with this little sheen, resh, and a sheen. And you're seeing
Yes.
his presence surrounding
Mm.
in so many ways. It's so fun. So fun picking one thing. And that's how, for me, my Messiah revealed himself to me this week, was just showing that to me.
Yeah.
One little thing
Yeah.
about a braid that I decided, I don't know why that word braid is popping off the page. I feel like I need to look it up. Went
Mhm.
to my little blue letter Bible and looked up the word, and I saw those letters, and I was like, I know those 2, but I don't know the one in the middle. And that was my process. And I share that
So
with you because some
good.
of you don't are working on your process, and you think
Mhm.
it's complicated, but it really is. I read until a word pops out to me, and I'm like, why is that bothering me? I need to look that letter up. That doesn't make sense. I probably should look this up. And that's where we start. And what a blessing.
Oh, so good.
Happy
So good.
Purim. Happy
Yes.
Purim.
So, for those of you that are just listening by podcast, I hope that you enjoyed having a little insight at our kitchen table with all of us, joined here talking about Tetzaveh, and our scripture. We didn't even mention this for those that are listening by podcast. Exodus 27:20 through 30:10 is where we are in the Torah portion. It's been
I have
wonderful.
so many notes. I have so many notes. I have notes about I have
Me
notes about the
too.
garments, how they would
Me
strip
too.
the garments, the common garments get stripped to actually make the wicks to light the menorah. I mean, there's really cool stuff we didn't even get
Yeah.
to go into.
Yeah.
When he
Oh my
says our
gosh.
righteousness is like filthy rags. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have pages and
privacy.
pages of things that I wanted to share, but I think that all what's so fun is that we get to do this every week. We get to do this, and we want you to be doing this along with us too.
Yes,
And I love your comments where you're throwing in like the first underwear. It's true.
It was Pietro. It was the first
It's the
underwear.
first underwear.
Yeah,
At
and I would
least the
say,
first
well,
underwear mentioned.
it was the first. Well, I don't. Yeah, when you read that, it said something to cover them, and I hyperlinked to the garden. Like, did he have to cover their nakedness because they were
Yeah.
ashamed? He had to make them underpants. Like he needed to make. Like he was the first. Like he. I was gonna say
Uh,
Spanx. But yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
the first I would have needed Spanx in the garden. I would have been like, yeah, but they had maybe it was undergarments. And I even approaching the throne, they had to be careful that it couldn't be a ramp. It had
Right,
to be, I mean, it couldn't be steps
right.
so
You
you
could,
could see
right,
private
exactly.
parts.
Couldn't be too high.
He's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of things.
There's just so many beautiful
We
things,
love
and
you
we would
all.
love to hear. And you know what? We would love to hear your take on it. If you would go into the portion and just write something up. Tell us what you got from the week. Tell us what
Oh,
your
I love
story
that.
is, where the Holy One spoke to you, and bring that out. And let's just start start for this portion. Let's just start a little dialogue going on there in the portion, and you guys share your stories too, because your
That would be
stories are just as
wonderful.
valuable as ours.
Yes, I need all the knees to jump up and tell me what they learned. Tell me your little part, all the
Yeah,
arms, the big toes, the all the parts of the body. Because my little toe, that was all I had was your sheen, your resh, and your sheen. That's all I had,
so
my little toe
beautiful.
version. So I need all the other people so we get a bigger picture and we get to see more and more as we each learn. And let that be our testimony. Wouldn't
Let it
that be
be.
fun if our group is just like, I saw Yeshua here this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
And that's the testimonies that explode. It's not that we're arguing over head knowledge or arguing over
Mm-mm.
doctrine, but we're excited
No.
about where we found Yeshua in his
Yeah.
word. We see HaTorah.
Yes.
We saw he became and he came and dwelt among me
Yeah.
in my tent with me
Yeah.
this morning. And we get to
Yeah.
share that with each other.
He is
I
the
would love that
word.
for you all.
He is the word,
Mm.
right? And so he has wrapped himself the garments of the priests were the linen was the righteousness. Their garments were the righteousness, not their righteousness, but the righteousness of Yeshua. And his righteousness is wrapped around each and every one of us. That's what we're
Mm.
clothed in. That's how we approach the Father, because we're wrapped in Yeshua. He wraps himself around us so that we can approach the Father, not of our own merit, but of his merit. He did that for us. And that's where we just want you to get that today. You are wrapped in him. He's for
Beautiful.
you.
I had to share
Yeah.
this as we can leave. Erica shares
Yes.
Ezekiel 43:10 through
Yes. Yes.
27
Yes.
in the Haftarah, and it's beautiful because it is the temple bringing repentance. But can I just remind you as you read this, and it's saying, when he says, "Let them measure accurately. If they're ashamed that what they have done, sketch out the house for them, its layout and its exits and its entrances and its complete design." If they are ashamed, he's saying, if they can't approach me because of their shame,
Mm-hmm.
build the tabernacle for them, show them what it's supposed to look like, show them what it's supposed to be so that they have a way to approach me, because I don't want shame to be the reason they can't come into my presence. So let's
Right.
show them a way to get,
Yeah.
ladies, look at that Haftarah portion from that angle, as he wants to give them a way to approach him, not to expose their shame. Not He didn't
Right.
do that in the garden, he covered it. So he's finding a way for him to cover it and to take it, and he wants them to sketch it. So how do you get to sketch that out for your friends and your family this
That's
week?
right.
How do you
That's right.
sketch it out and show them the door? It says show them the entrance. How do you
That's right.
show them the door? The
Yeah.
Dalit, Yeshua. How do you show them that? Oh my gosh, we're gonna keep going. Okay, we
Oh,
got to
we're
go to
gonna keep
after
going. I
party.
love
So if
it. All right.
you want more, you have to
Stick around the after party.
We love all of you. Be blessed.
We love you.
Invite your friends. Make sure if they're coming into the portion, please make sure they answer the questions, or unfortunately, we have to protect you and we can't let crazy people in. So they do just have to answer the questions to make sure that
Answer the
they're not fake
questions.
people. They're not fake. We've been hacked. So
Yeah.
we want to protect you. And we love you all.
We love you.